Welcome back to the program. Many thanks for staying with us. You're watching Newsnight. We are live from the Greenhouse Mall. We're having a very important discussion. Universal Child Benefits, a cash transfer program that's been running in a pilot part of the program for the last 1 year. And we're exploring what the way forward looks like, its impact on some of the beneficiaries who are here with us, and how social protection and positive parenting could strengthen development in Kenya and make us a more equitable society. Some of our audience members are anticipating a chance to ask questions. We're going to give them that chance at this moment. I think we'll start from the center there. Please introduce yourself, and then you can ask your question or make your comment. Unaweza ongea tafadhali.
Naitwa Safia Isaac Ali.
Ongea kwa sauti tafadhali. Speak a bit louder. Thank you.
Okay. Naitwa Safia Isaac Ali kutoka Cerebral Palsy Society of Kenya. Ni mzazi pale. So ombi langu kuu ni kuwa mtoto mwenye akona CP ama cerebral palsy awezani na fever. Akipata fever huwa ana convulse. So ningependa tuwe na kwa mahospitali zetu kama emergency ama special case, mtoto kama huyo akiletwa asipange line. So akipanga line, akipata ile convulsion anarudi to zero. So tungeomba kwa unyenyekevu kama tunaweza pata kuangaliwa kwa hiyo section kama hiyo. Yes.
Na unasema wakienda hospitali
tunapanga line like normal kids. Okay. Na alafu ule mtoto ana convulse pale anarudi to zero, na hiyo therapy yenye umefanya ni very expensive. So unaanza zero tena. So tungeomba kwa moyo mkunjufu tu kama inawezekana kama wazazi from CP.
Na unatuma hiyo ujumbe kwa mahospitali around the country, doctors,
stakeholders, kila mtu tunaomba mtutetee hapo.
Okay, asante sana. I believe wamesikia na watajibu tukiendelea. Let's speak from the back. Please identify yourself and make your question or your comment. Someone at the back, what the microphone? It's you I want to speak to. I think you had your hand up. Let's save time, please. Go ahead.
Yes, hi, my name is Blair Kerry. I'm currently a student in Nairobi School. The main agenda why I came here today was because I wanted to ask a question for Mom. You talked about something about hospitality and how children usually are managed. I like to give a hand up and say that back in my school, I'd like you to at least come one day and go towards the programs you are making there. Thank you.
I'd like to invite her to your school?
Yeah, I'd like to invite her to my school.
Come and bring the message there?
Yeah, bring the message there.
What school is that?
It's a school, Nairobi School. Yeah.
Okay.
I like to come to my school.
Asante sana. Thank you so much. Let's hear from this gentleman now. You may proceed.
Thank you, Wahiga. And thank you all the panelists. My name is Samuel Buru. I read in Nairobi County from an organization called Namis MASPA. This is Nairobi Micro and Small Manufacturing Service Providers Association. Thanks for the government for this noble idea for the Universal Child Benefit Project. Sometimes it gets in our family setup. When we are doing our budgets, we never budget for these children. We prioritize for other children, but for this our total is like others. So this will be a plus to all the children within the country. Now to already the tested counties, what are the best practices that you have learned from County A that can be compared? If it was been applied to County B, the County B could be 100% or 99%. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. We also have people who are joining us online using the SMS line 22422 and the hashtag Newsnight. Someone says here, Bwana Eddie Waigoro says, I wish I had the chance to join you live for that program. I would have loved to participate. It's very empowering. There are many cases of parents not knowing how to deal with their deaf children. A lady here, Claire, is saying, swali ni moja tu. How can I qualify for this universal child benefit program? And we have others who are sending in more questions. I'll continue reading them even as we continue. 22422 is the SMS line, and the hashtag is Newsnight. Let me get some quick responses, then we come back for another round. I think, Bwana Ombasa, do we start with you?
Thank you. Allow me to just quickly take 2-3 issues that were raised. As we are here, we are just agents of the government. I get your concern. Under CBC, you're not able to learn the sign language. The government, wherever it's the Minister of Education will take that. As you know, we are just a trumpet for us to bring that message out. Secondly, there is also our sister there, Sophia, the need for her to not line up during hospital visit. I'm sure my brother, the CEO, will discuss on that. But because we are also passing a message, this media has already passed that message, and we hope that as we leave from here, we'll get so many calls, and then we shall follow it up. The question that was asked, the best practices, and of course, how do you qualify? Allow me to start with how do you qualify, then I come to the best practices. This is a universal scheme, does not discriminate anybody as long as you are in that location. The caveat here is, do you want to be part of the program? No condition, no conditionality. Two different terms. There's no condition for you, and there's no conditionalities inside the program. So once the program is rolled within that location, it is you to accept, then I want to be part of the program so that I can also be able to move on with the program. Then the best practices, as I said earlier on, we are doing the impact evaluation right now so that we are able to effectively tell you that from County A, which is peri-urban, these are the progresses we felt that have been impacted in the children and the families within that particular area, so that once that report is out, we can now form a basis for us then to argue, even in the physical space in the government, to be able then to effectively advocate and then bring more money to be able then to address the issues that are facing the children in Kenya. So I think those are the two quick ones that I wanted to respond, so that I can leave my other colleagues to be able to respond to the others.
Good. I'll only take one more comment. Is it you, Jacinta, who says something, or Bwana Hassan? Are you okay? Go proceed.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to really appreciate the youth who have stood up to ask for a sensitization on our national parenting program in their school. I've taken note that he's a male, and also appreciate the one who talked in the audience, a male also, I believe a father or a male caregiver. And I want to say that in the parenting program, we are having sessions that speak to or are informed by already evidence-based parenting programs that have been implemented by key stakeholders in this country who are in this space. So it is out of what has worked in this country, and one of the modules is male involvement in parenting. You realize that being a patriarchal society generally, a lot of decisions are made by the male caregivers or the ones who really make decisions. So even talking about issues of budgeting, we have a whole session on family financial planning, and we encourage the male caregivers, the fathers, the male role models in society to really take interest in this program. Once we launch it, we'll even have an online national parenting module where wherever you are at your work, wherever you are in your space, you can be able to improve on your parenting skills. You know, the knowledge, the attitude, so that you can really connect with your children more and even make better decisions in terms of providing that supportive family environment. We have intergenerational gap programs, which I've taken note from the youth in the house that we will be able to involve more youths, because we want our young people, especially in our government cash transfer, the older person's cash transfer, we want them to really be involved in taking care of the elderly because they are part and parcel of the family and they are vulnerable, so that we can reduce those cases of elder person abuse, you know, and neglect, and what we are seeing on our media these days, what is happening to our elder persons. So I wanted to appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I want to appreciate those who are texting us in. I've read a few tweets. Let me read some SMSs. Somebody here says, I'm a mother of a 6-year-old autistic boy. How can I get assistance and where? Speech therapy is expensive. San Nixon Dugire from Kindaruma says, buildings, especially learning institutions, should be constructed in a manner that will favor children with disabilities. And this is echoed by someone else, no name, but you say, accessing buildings, especially those with stories, buses, matatus are a challenge. Access to benefits. Stop the stigma on persons living with disabilities. And someone here, I had pulled up this message, but it seems to have gone missing. Somebody here who was talking about their personal experience with yes, somebody here says UCB is the way to go, and I'm glad because the Cheshire Disability Services Kenya with 40 partners are doing the same and supporting. For sustainability, there's need to form parents support groups in the community, and the other people praising the UCB program and saying it has impacted them from some of the counties where they are watching us from. Okay, let's get another few more questions. I'll start at the back. I don't know where the microphone is. At the very back, we have someone there with a mic. If we can just quickly get it to them. Okay, is it you? Go ahead. You can introduce yourself and make your question or comment or ask your question.
Okay, good evening. My name is Christina Ritho. I'm a mother raising a child with disability. And my question goes to Mr. Hassan. What has the government done to help us parents who are raising children with disability in terms of benefit? Like 5 years back, I registered for the national card for her. And we were promised a lot of benefit. Part of it was a fund that we were to be given. I think it was 2,000 at that time. And fortunately, I went to reclaim it. And the person at the office decided to tell me that I am not, I cannot claim the money because I look like I'm well off. And I asked, why are they prompting parents to come and pick the card, and eventually we will not actually benefit? The reason behind it was because the money given is not enough. So on my part, I felt that is discrimination, one, on my part of my child. Okay. And the second thing is, if the reality is that that money is not enough, and yet the government has statistics about the number of children with special needs, what other benefit are we to get for our children? Okay. We cannot sit at the back and just watch as the government promises us moon and sunshine, and at the ground things are really hard. Okay. Are there other benefits, like even zero rating things like diapers, which we really need?
Okay, thank you. I'll stop you there to allow others to ask. Go ahead, briefly, question or comment?
My name's Pastor George Baraza. Natoka sehemu za Kayole. Mahali niko, kuna watoto, especially mimi mwenyewe na mtoto ambaye ni mlemavu. Swali langu ni, watoto hao tutawasaidiaje? Wengine hawajui kutembea, wanatembea magoti, kitu kama hizo. Tutawasaidiaje? Mtaweza kusaidiaje sisi na wheelchairs? No, mtoto akipata wheelchair anaweza hata enda shuleni akitumia wheelchair. Kuna mwingine amekuwa mkubwa, aweza kabebwa, miaka 15, 10.
So hiyo ndio swali lako.
So mtatusaidiaje ili aweze kupata wheelchair? Number 2, kuna hiyo program imesema kwamba ilianza last year. Itawafikiaje wengine? Kuna wazazi wana watoto na wako ndani ya nyumba. Mesema like 3 counts wame benefit. Kuna wengine hawajui, hata hawajaelewa, hawajasikia. Mtawafikia aje wale pia? Asante. Ndio tuweze kupokea.
Thank you very much. Let's get a comment from the front. Go ahead, madam.
Thank you for the panel. Kwa majina ni Lucy Kanini. mzazi wa watoto wawili ambaye wako na ulemavu. Mmoja 20 years, cerebral palsy. The other one 12, ako autism. Nimepitia challenges mingi, especially za shule, because cerebral palsy, mwenye ako cerebral palsy ni mtu mwenye hawezi kujipeleka. Ukienda kwa government, there is no facilities and they are so expensive. Hawa watoto wanatumia hata madawa. Although I'm in the Inua Jamii cash transfer for the first one, sasa mambo ni kununua dawa za kifafa, juu anatumia dawa za kifafa. Na mwingine naye sasa ameenda shule na ameenda mbali sana Gilgil, because the surrounding, I'm from Resambo constituency, Resambo, Nairobi County, hakuna shule kama ya kusaidia hawa watoto. Kwa hivyo huyu mwingine nilirudi naye kwa nyumba after kuona nampeleka Jadhaine Primary School. Nikarudi naye kwa nyumba, sasa namketa kwa nyumba, anatumia diaper. I am asking, hizi diaper sisi watoto wazazi ambao wako na watoto walemavu, can they be zitolewe VAT, tuambiwe duka ya wale watu wako na watoto walemavu ni hii? Manake the autism pia anatumia madawa za chakula special. The ungangano, it's so expensive kuliko hii ingine. Can we, wazazi ambao wanalea watoto.
Okay.
Pia nataka kuuliza wazazi ambao wako na watoto, how can we benefit from the government? Can we be given these tenders? Ndio kama uko kwa nyumba, ukiambiwa upeleke hata kama ni tissue, hata Kiambu Hospital, the government institution, utapata kitu ya kulea hawa watoto, hata utasikia gharama ukinunua hizo pampa. Pampa sahihi ya huyo mtoto wa 20, you know it's around 100 moja tu. Na hata tumia moja.
Okay. Asante, I'll interrupt you there because I want to allow two more, just one, and it has to be one, just a question or a comment. One gentleman here at the front who has really been asking to speak, and one at the back. Please, only one in the interest of time. Let's start with you at the back, briefly. Swali, your question or your comment, tafadhali, sir, very quickly, in the interest of time.
Thank you so much. I'm Douglas Monte. I'm a financial analyst from the University of Nairobi. One question concerning children with disability. I just want to ask Mr. Hassan, how do you ensure that children with a disability, especially those with conditions in accessing education, are well taken care of in terms of their lifetime sustainability? For example, you find that we have got children who cannot maybe get access to education in a more efficient way. How do the government, through the Council of Children with Disability, ensure that their life is sustainable? Question number 2.
I'll have to stop you there. Just in the interest of time, tafadhali, please. One question, sir, here at the front. Introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Moses Kilonzo. I'm the chairman for Persons with Disabilities Lower Eastern Region. And I'm the principal advisor to the UDA chairman, Johnson Nduya Mudhama. Now, my question, and I'm very glad that we have a representative of the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. The National Council actually has been more disabled than the people it is registering. Because, Wahiga, the people who are inside the National Council do not actually forward the problems inside the National Council or fight for reforms. Us outside here are the ones who fight for reforms inside the National Council. For instance, Wahiga, look at the issue of devolving the registration of persons with disabilities. Wahiga, you are a living testimony of how we outside here, me personally, fought for this, and the people inside the National Council could not fight for that. My question is, because it is the body mandated to register persons with disabilities.
Okay.
My question is...
Briefly, please, sir.
Yes. There are so many people, mashinani huko chini, who are not registered. And for you to benefit from anything that the government is doing, you need to be registered with the National Council for Persons with Disabilities.
Yes.
What steps is the National Council taking to ensure that the people who are down there, now that the registration is devolved,
yes,
what extra measures are they taking to ensure that they reach out to as many people as possible for them to benefit in such programs like this?
Thank you. We have taken 5-6 questions. Let me allow some feedback. You seem to have the bulk of them. Do you want to begin?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. I will start with him. You know, I've earlier said registering persons with disability previously was a very tough process. But we have managed to convince that the signature of Director of Medical Services should be devolved to Director of Medical Services or Director of Health at the county government, something that we have achieved. Then what that means is that the process of registering squarely has shifted from Afi House, Ministry of Health, to the county government. That means now, how do counties mainstream that aspect into their program? As you very well know, counties are now developing county integrated development plan. How could they finance that process, including setting up assessment center, which has all the equipment, the bearer machine for the deaf, physiotherapy facilities for those with physical disabilities or whatever. How will they do that? And the records right now is kept by the county government. The record of registration is kept by the county government. And assessment teams are done at the county government. So the county government need to finance, to support. Then where we come in is, how can we actually now, when someone is registered now, that person's application comes to our offices at that particular county, and then the information has shifted. So that process has been already taken back to the counties. And the issue of the mass registration, for example, at the ward level, because maybe traveling to the county headquarters can be an issue, is something stakeholders can come together and handle. That's already being sorted out. I have earlier said that even the system that we are implementing has to ultimately make someone to even upload his information from the comfort of their bed without necessarily traveling. That is said. I think the gentleman asked about education and the access, especially tertiary institutions. One thing that needs to be very clear, Wahiga and the viewers, is that all institutions of public services, ministries, departments, and agencies, report to the council the extent of their disability compliance. That includes physical built environment, reasonable accommodation for the students, particularly with disabilities, and they report to us, and then we follow up with them every other year. And I think this year we have also reorganized how that reporting can be done, and 31st March this year, we'll be rolling out, or we'll be disseminating a report of over 400 MDAs that reported to us, including now universities, colleges, that how are they accessible to persons with disability. I think the most other important thing the lady raised is the issue around children, the parent, the expenses of disabilities. I agree. Having a child with disabilities is very tough, especially if those children require constant attention, whether they are autistic, whether they are other related developmental disorders. I've said a bit earlier that the government has now rolled out a program on autistic and developmental disorder. Even today we had a meeting at our ministry together with some stakeholders. The phase of that program and how it will going to take, and where are the key priorities for those parents. The therapy, the drugs, the issue of the diapers, because, for example, for an autistic child, the need is different from that child with a CP. It is different from that child with maybe epilepsy, which is also neuro kind of a condition. And very soon we'll be calling the stakeholders now to tell them this is the general plan. What are the key priorities? So that this is also more or less a new thing, and it's a new program. It will make us to inform what better measures that we will take. But I must also mention, Wahiga, here, that under the current administration, the BPS, Budget Policy Statement, that is now a draft and was up for a public participation, it included NHIF, how it can cover 100%, all as expenses related with a disability, whether it is drug, whether it is a therapy. So we hope when the parliament pass that budget, some of these stress conditions were going to be sorted out at that level. But I must also say it here that for those of us with disability, and who are working, we're enjoying tax exemption. But what of the parents who are meeting a lot of expenses, to buy, those diapers, those drugs, and, such kind of a thing? I think this issue also requires now interrogation of how we can reform the tax exemption regulation. I think we are having a very good working relationship with KRA and the National Treasury and trying to see to open up, the regulation on taxation or tax exemption, including even personally, unless a miracles happen, and it can happen, that I should not renew my tax exemption. If my disability is permanent, it should be for life. And then that should be extended now to the parent of the children with disability. So this is a multi-sectoral kind of an approach. And the council probably plays, let me say, advocacy or bringing critical stakeholders together to spark this conversation going on. Okay. But I think we are alive to those very crucial information. And I want to apologize to the lady for being maybe misinformed or being someone from our office being rude to her if I have heard her loud and clear. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. You have something briefly to say?
I just wanted to talk to my sister here, and it's very direct. She lives at Roysambu. Fortunately, I was district children officer there some times back. I can link you up with those who can offer services for your child, for that matter, so we can have a discussion outside there. But then there's something you said about AGPO, for you to be able to do business with government. The government of Kenya and the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, for that matter, recognizes AGPO as part of its way of dealing with the population. Remember, this is a social capital between you and us, because I am the executive as I am here. So if we break that social capital, then there will be some commotion. Now, there are rules of the game. You have to get a certificate and the rest. Then please knock in those offices. There's 30% meant for AGPO participants in all tenders of government. Don't miss that opportunity. It's given for free. Just knock in those offices. I know you'll pass through so many challenges, but those challenges are part of life. Please continue knocking. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In the interest of time, I can only take one or two more comments. I will stop you if it's more than one. Briefly, just this lady here and one more in the center. At the back, I'll see if there's time. Briefly, what's your question or comment?
I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Ann Dungu. I'm the founder of an organization called GHH,
What's your
which
question
is giving
or comment?
hope to the hopeless.
Yes, please.
But my question goes to the panel, even though Mr. Hassan has tried to tackle that question, but I come here as a person who is representing people living with disability in my constituency. But I am really getting a lot of issues that has to do with its stigma. And I will address this to the whole of the panel because stigma is back in big force. And kindly, I would ask you to please try to organize a program that will sanitize back the community to be able to remove stigma, mostly from the parent. Because being on the ground, I've seen what is happening. I visited a home where a parent she's really traumatized and she's using the rope to tie the child because of the issues that she's going through. And every now and then keep on calling for help. And the community has really decided, you get that they really are trying to put this parent aside, not to involve the child with their children. So kindly on the stigma issue, I'll appreciate.
Thank you, sir. Briefly, sir, at the back, go ahead. Question or comment?
I'm Gibson Langata. I came from Bomet. I would like to ask our brother there, how are you going to differentiate between a disabled person from another country with our disabled person in our country? Because there are so many people who are just going around doing commercial work at a roundabout of in Kileleshwa, in roundabout at City Mortuary, doing commercial thing. How are you going to register them as a disabled? Are you going to register disabled to Kenya, to a Kenyan, or you normally leave them at that venue?
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Now, we had some of the beneficiaries, and I want to give them a chance to give a brief final comment. And I think, Jacinta, we can start with you kwa ufupi. Ujumbe wa mwisho ni gani?
Nikiwa baadhi ya wale walikuwa wanafaidika katika huu mradi, mimi kuna jambo moja ama mbili ninaomba.
Moja tu.
Huu mradi wakati ulianza, kwanza mimi nikiwa kama child protection volunteer, kwa zile grupu niliweza kwenda nikifundisha hawa wamama, tuliweza kuanzisha vikundi, and hizo vikundi zingine tumeweza kuziandikisha kwa social services. Naomba huu mradi uongezewe muda ili hizi vikundi tulikuwa tumeanzisha sipate joto, kwa maana hawa wazazi walikuwa wanategemea zile pesa walikuwa wanatumiwa na mradi, kwa sababu mradi ulikuwa kila mwezi unatumia mzazi shilingi 800. Akitumia hizo pesa shilingi 800, tulikuwa tunachukua kidogo tuna save na tukaanza project ya kuku. Wengine kuna mmoja tumeweza project ya kuku, ingine tumeweza kuanza project ya savings. So mradi ukiweza kusimama, au wamama watakuwa disappointed. Jambo lile lingine ninaomba Wahiga, tafadhali, ya mwisho ninaomba, kwa sababu ya watoto walemavu, Universal Child Project wakati imeanza, watoto wengi walemavu wameweza kutolewa nje, tukaweza kuwapata. Ningeomba UCB ipewe muda kidogo iweze kuendelea katika community, ili watoto wale wengine wamewekwa kwa manyumba waweze kutolewa, waweze kufaidika. Asante.
Thank you. I would have given everyone a chance to speak, but we're out of time. I want to give you each a final minute or so for a parting shot. Jacinta, I think let me start with you. What's your final word? You've had many of the questions. You get a sense of where the anxiety, where the issues are. What's your word to them?
Yeah, thank you for sharing out the challenges you're facing. We have had as government, and we encourage that you really visit our sub-county social development offices, where you'll be able also to benefit from the psychosocial support programs, basic counseling that we do, and also offer referral and linkages to relevant stakeholders depending on the need that you have. I also want to thank the stakeholders for the good work you've had. We have a lot of work to do together. Save the Children for really supporting us in the development of the National Parenting Program, and courtesy of you, we are here. We also want to thank KCCB. We are implementing a program on preventing violence in families. We really encourage that we continue strengthening that kind of partnership. We also have World Food Program who are helping us to digitize group registrations, as we encourage members of the community to register their groups so that we can be more effective in giving you the services that you need as we empower you for improved livelihoods. And also volunteerism, we are digitizing that courtesy of World Food Program. Our stakeholders are many. I may not mention you by name, but the key role you have played in this development of National Parenting Program, we appreciate all of you. Transform Nations, the Navigators, National Council for Churches of Kenya, you are able to pretest this. We really appreciate that kind of support as government, and we look forward to really realizing our vision of creating supportive, safe environment where our children can grow and develop to their full potential. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Bonambasa, as you give your final word, please also tell us how you see UCB eventually improving positive parenting and supporting children with disabilities going forward, even as you give your final word.
Thank you. Allow me to briefly say that I appreciate the sentiments that they've brought in place. Well, all journeys start with one step. Right now, we are not at the tail end. It's like we are starting. So the fear that you're having that it's going to stop, have some hope. It's going to come back. Maybe it will come up with a bang, the way the other programs have come up with a bang. So just have hope. Let's wait for the impact evaluation report. After that, then we'll come back. But what you've asked, how then does it relate to our colleague in DSD? I want to quickly touch that the Violence Against Children report of 2019 and the action plan that was brought into place had a very significant impact in how we are addressing our community, especially all interventions under social protection, whereby UCB is part of it. So we are alive to the fact that UCB is making change, is making families work even better. You realize that 90%, or close to around 95% of the money that is given to the household is given to ladies. Trust me, less than 5% is given to men. Why? Because the family depends more on the resources that can be given to a lady. I have no problem in men being given, but research tells us that ladies are good spenders, especially in the house. So when you see us trying to say UCB is there for us to live, because we believe in the strength of our ladies in the program. Having said that, as my closing remarks comes,
yes, briefly, please.
Allow me then to thank all our partners who have contributed to this particular session. World Food Program, UNICEF with their sister SIDA, of course, Save the Children, and the rest that have been mentioned here. But not forgetting the State Department of Social Protection under the leadership of the CS and the PS, Mr. Joseph, for that matter, for allowing us then to have this discussion, to be able then to effectively articulate what UCB is right now and what it should be as we move forward towards its fruitful conclusion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And finally, Harun Hassan, you have the final word. What's it going to be?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it is good to recognize the effort of the government and how that is not enough, and how all the critical stakeholders can come on board and to help us to see to it that all these important programs are taken off. It's good to mention that there is a NHIF 100% plan coverage, which I have earlier mentioned. It's good to mention that there is a percentage of Hustler Fund ring fence for persons with disabilities, or including even parents with disabilities, that we should be aware of. It's good to mention that for educational assistance, it's now 15% in the current plan of this current administration, something that is coming up for parliamentary approval. But all this might not make us to achieve everything. That's why we need players, actors, some at bilateral conversation level to see to it that we can help. I think, Waiga, it's also important to remind Kenyans and the viewers that disability is something that will be with us for a long time. And it is a condition that rises every other day. Previously, those that were as a result of, maybe health facilities, immunization, things are going down. Other factors are making disability to grow. Road accident, like myself, actually. A number of other lifestyle disease, hypertension, diabetes. So disability will continue to grow. It is part of us. And it is such kind of story that can inspire us. Let us make the world a better place. Just in the event, and we don't wish for that we find ourselves there, we are all prepared for the world that we really want to live in. And I also request persons with disabilities across the country and the parents of the children with disabilities to register them, and so that they can be captured in the government database. If you are not registered, then it means you cannot benefit from the government programs. So you need to be known. Your information needs to be captured in our databases. So I think that is the most important thing. But a conversation like this will help us now to reinform, to redesign our program and what sustainability will look like in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And that's where we conclude this discussion. It's been a very fruitful one. A lot has been done. A lot more needs to be done, and we'll ensure that we have platforms like this where we get a chance to share some of the issues around this subject, and also receive your comments and your questions, those of you who've been joining us from around the country and around the world as well. Let me thank you to my panelists. Joining us from the immediate right, from the far right there has been Mr. Peter Ombasa, who's the Assistant Director, Children's Services. Thank you for your time this evening. We have had Jacinta Mwende, Principal Social Development Officer. Asante Sana, and Harun Hassan, the Executive Director of the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. If we wanted to expand this panel, we could have many distinguished guests who are here with us in the audience, and I want you to clap for yourselves. Thank you for your patience and for contributing to this very important discussion, and one that we trust will continue. You say you have a conference in March? And I'm sure the discussion will continue as well, even on that note. Let's carry on with this discussion on social media. #NewsNight, SMS line 22422. And let's ensure that we make Kenya a better place than it already is. Thank you so much for having tuned in for this special edition of Newsnight, a town hall edition.